Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. Gangi reporting for The Media Speaks as I adjust my low def people. If you're watching this live, or if you found it low def, you are right here. My hand is in front of you. High def people, you are over there. And the reason I do that is because that's the way Google chooses to stream. There's no way to hook the high def up to the Google. But that's not why you're here. You're here to hear the correct views. You're here to hear what's going on in the news. Well, I'm going to make sure that you get it as accurately as possible. Everything I give have sources. What did you just tune into? You didn't tune into somebody that's not giving you any sources. This is not one man's opinion. This is one man telling you what the facts are. So, I mean, I hate the guy in the hat and the long hair. It doesn't matter if you hate me or not. What I'm telling you is true. The first thing I want to get to is more Ferguson. How many of you are sick of Ferguson? I'm not going to stay on it long, so don't zone out. In a nutshell, here is what it is. A thug named Micheal Brown, who was 18 years old. He's a little teen. Yeah, he's a teen. Like when you go on to porn sites and it says, look at the hot teen. She's like 2 days from her 20th birthday. I'm not saying you should look at teens. I'm saying it's that kind of teen. He was not a teen. He was an adult doing adult things. And he was doing dumb things like stealing. He stole from a convenience store, which they have now vandalized twice, I believe, maybe more. It was a thug who robbed a store, attacked someone, and got shot for it. But Sam, you're in favor of cops. You're a sellout. You're a Republican. You're siding with police officers. Go back to reports. Look up Ferguson rape correct views. Do you know that the Ferguson Police Department raped a woman? They raped a woman in their custody, and virtually nobody, I'm going to say nobody because I haven't heard of anybody doing it, but I'm sure somebody is, and I just haven't heard. Nobody or virtually nobody is even reporting on this. So you have a guilty cop that arrests and otherwise detains and rapes a woman. And nobody is out there protesting that I have thus far heard. You take a thug, somebody who is hurting your community. I'm sorry he died, but somebody who the community is not suffering due to his death, beyond what people are causing now. He was a detriment to his area. Just because he was a black man, you think he was a good man? How does that work? I don't care what color he was. He was a thug who attacked someone and got shot. And because that someone is a cop, and I'm not always in favor of cops because, like I said, they just raped some woman that none of you care about. Let's go march for a thug. Let's go march for a thug. This is stupidity at its height, friends. This is not about black. This is not about white, rich, nor poor. You know what? I went to a protest. I didn't burn anything down. Cops brandished guns, did not point, brandished guns upon us. By us, I mean me, Christelle, Alex Jones, and a bunch of people who were protesting at Bilderberg. I filmed it, made a movie out of it called Bilderberg, Why It Mattered to Me. I protested. I said what I believed. I didn't burn anybody down. I didn't hate anybody because of their race. Why? Because that's boneheadedness. Micheal Brown was a thug who in many ways had it coming. And be that what as it may, Wilson is an innocent police officer who was attacked. and shot the thug that attacked him. Now, if you want to go out there and you want to march about police violence and injustice in the world, I'll stand arm in arm with you no matter what color you are. But do not do so in the name of Micheal Brown, who was a typical garden variety thug who got in over his head and got shot. Don't steal from people, don't attack things, and you might not get shot. Call it a hunch. DailyCaller.com. We are moving on from Ferguson, where we are all still some semblance of sane. Obama's amnesty will cost $22,000 per U.S. college grad. I'm about $22,000 short on my end of paying for that. How about you, may I ask? Obama has just granted a level of amnesty that is going to cost $22,000 per college grad. Listen to this. And no, it didn't work when Reagan did it either. And let me tell you why, before I even start this, you listening to this who doesn't agree with me, whoever you are, maybe you think that it's not a big deal. I know I voted for Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson is in favor of illegal immigration. It's the one thing that I have never, ever supported him on. Do not support him on it now. And is one of the things that, depending on who he's running against, could potentially make me not vote for him in the future. Why is illegal immigration bad? Because Sam hates Mexicans, yo. No. I'm actually, my dad was, I believe, a quarter Mexican. No. The reason I don't like it is whether you're talking about Mexicans or Canadians. Hear me out on this and then leave a comment. You tell me where I'm wrong. I'm all ears. You tell me how I'm wrong. You take an illegal immigrant and the minimum wage is $7 an hour. I'm paraphrasing. It's $7 an hour. Now, you hire illegal one or illegal Canadian guy, I don't care which one, and you say, I'm going to pay you $5 an hour. Well, that's a lot of money where you're from in Mexico. So you take the job. However, Obama steps in like the great savior and decides to make Juan a legal immigrant. Now, how many of you listening to this would like to see legal immigrants not get paid the minimum wage that we all do? If you think that, then you are racist. I think everyone is entitled to the minimum wage if that's what the government has decreed that they should do. Am I in favor of the whole concept? We won't go there. Point is, if minimum wage is $7 and Juan is now one of us, then Juan deserves his $7, right? We're on the same page? Good. Now you still have Mr. Employer over here. And this greedy swine is still looking for someone for $5 an hour. So he's not going to, $7, yeah, 5. So he's not going to hire me for 7. And he's not going to hire Juan for 7. He's not going to hire a Canadian guy for 7. He needs another illegal immigrant. Therefore, what Obama just did is going to create an influx of new illegal immigrants who are not only going to undercut you and I, but also undercut illegal Canadian guy and Juan, who are now legal. Do you see why? Do you understand why illegal immigration now will not work? Cut this section of the video out and share it with all of your friends. I just made more sense than anybody you've heard in the last year, didn't I? Welcome to the correct views. President Obama's amnesty for 4 million illegal immigrants will cost Americans about 2 trillion smackers, or roughly 40 million a year for the next 5 decades, according to this article. And I've looked it up. It seems to be reliable and accurate. The cost of Obama's generosity is equivalent to 30 cents extra for every gallon of gas bought by Americans. Or it's equivalent to a $10 monthly fee added to your cell phone bill. I only pay $39. That's like a quarter increase. Or a $22,000 tax on every American graduate's 4-year college degree. The 2 million cost is driven, 2 trillion, excuse me, is driven by the federal government's support for all poor people, says Robert Rector, a budget analyst at the Heritage Foundation. Rector explained that on average, the illegal immigrants benefiting from the amnesty have a 10th grade education. Actually, he was on my side, so his name still sounds like Rectum. Come on, if we don't laugh when we report the news, and you might as well be listening to CNN. Anyway, do you realize what I'm saying? This is like a tax that has just been passed off on everyone for Obama to make the illegal immigration problem worse. How? In the way that I just laid out. We got a problem here, people. Well, listen to this. Mexico and Central America thank Obama for amnesty decree, according to Breitbart.com, where I got the article at. Of course they are. Because Americans got hosed into paying for all of the people that are too dumb to get a job where they're at, don't have an education, and might be a thug. Am I in favor of keeping other people out of the country? No. I actually think that it needs to be easier to get into the country than it is now. I also think it should not be a matter of money. It should be a matter of learning the culture and learn the language, learn where, if you're going to get a work permit here, I'm in favor of work permits. I've got no problem with any of that because all of that is legal. If you want to be a citizen here, then I do think you should have to learn the language, but I also think it shouldn't cost you that much. We don't want to sell immigration status. We want people to earn immigration status. If I was going to move to Germany, I should have to at least speak intelligent German. If I was going to move to Mexico, they should be allowed to make me learn at least functional Spanish. And maybe I'm prejudiced against white people. The presidents of Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador and Honduras, the leading source countries of illegal immigrants in the United States, hailed Obama's executive decree to stop the deportation of many of their compatriots. Obama's unilateral measures will shield nearly 5 million illegal immigrants from the U.S. immigration laws by granting them work permits, social security numbers, and deportation reprieves. In other words, everybody who got here legally, you don't count. We're just going to let everybody come in illegally and take everything that should be given to you. Obama's unilateral measures will shield nearly 5 million illegal immigrants from U.S. immigration laws by granting them work permits. Did you hear that? In administering the president's overhaul of America's immigration laws, the Department of Homeland Security will prioritize the removal of certain serious criminal aliens. Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras are the top 4 countries where the majority of illegal aliens in the United States originate, according to the latest DHS estimate of the unauthorized immigrant population living in the U.S. The DHS data is consistent with most recent estimates by the Pew Hispanic Center. Yeah, these countries, it says, are thanking us. These measures are a relief for immigrants, especially of Mexican origin, and are the most important that have been taken by the U.S. in several decades. It's easy for the presidents of other countries to say that because these people were in large degree useless in their country, and now, of course, they're useless in ours. Meanwhile, all the people that actually had a head on their shoulders stayed in their country. That makes me sick, friends. So, of course, we have the leaders of those countries thanking us. If we were to open our prisons and send all of the people there, if we were to take all of our welfare recipients and send them there, I'd imagine Obama would thank them for taking them. Utterly ridiculous report. Steve Watson, Prison Planet. Hagel warned of rogue new world order, and now he's fired. The reason I'm mentioning this is most of the generals and military specialists who have kept this country safe for many, many decades have been fired, forced out of their job, or disappeared. And in their place has been a lot of yes men for the Obama administration. And I'm talking about people who all but have their finger on the nuclear button. Chuck Hagel, who has had his faults, warned Obama that there are rogue elements in our nation and through our nation and that is taking power away from him and turning it into a one world system. For that, Obama has worked out, all but fired. How's that? Chuck Hagel. Chuck Hagel just did a Kennedy here. Kennedy got killed for not liking the banking system. Wasn't it Johnson, I think, I'm not sure, that warned about the encroachment of this unseen hand taking over the country? Well, listen to this. Chuck Hagel has been fired by Obama from his position as defense secretary. Hagel, a former GOP senator, was appointed by Obama in early 2013 and therefore was scheduled to serve for the entirety of Obama's second term. Prior to his appointment, it says Hagel is said to have visited the White House in 2009 and personally warned Obama that he should look out for rogue elements within the Pentagon who were leading a new world order. That means people that want to undermine the existing government for the sake of a one world dictatorship or oversight or UN's wet dream. He warned of this, and for that he's been punished, serving his commander-in-chief. This was not reported on some internet conspiracy forum. It was a leading report published shortly before Hagel's appointment by Bob Woodward, who is an award-winning journalist and associate editor of the Washington Post. According to the account that Hagel gave, it goes on, he told Obama, quote, "We are at a time when there is a new world order. We don't control it." Well, if you were president, wouldn't you want to know this? It says we don't control it. You must question everything, every assumption, and everything they, the military and diplomats, tell you. Any assumption 10 years old is out of date. You need to question our role. You need to question the military. You need to question what we are using the military for, Hagel is said to have told the president. The man should have been hugged by the president. Was he? No, because we have a terrible president. The Post report also stated, it says that Hagel warned Obama about becoming bogged down in the ongoing war in Afghanistan, saying that it would define Obama's first term. He was right. It's not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of he's right. The first term's over and he's right. That's what defined it. Hagel reportedly later privately questioned the wisdom of sending additional troops to join the conflict. If Hagel is confirmed, as appears likely, he and the president will have a large task in navigating his new world order. The Post was concluded at the time. It remains to be discovered as to whether or not Hagel attempted to oust the rogue elements within the military-industrial complex. Well, it looks like he did. And it looks like Obama got rid of the people who were more Hegel-minded, in my opinion. So basically, he got fired by Obama for warning him who his enemies were. That means that either Obama is stupid or Obama is on the side of those enemies. Again, it's not a matter of whether or not you like what I just said. There isn't a third option. Friends, Infowars.com can Anarcho capitalism work. That means you hear the word anarchy and you panic. That is not what it means. I wanted to cover this briefly by Lou Rockwell, LouRockwell.com. The term anarcho capitalism has, we might say, rather an arresting quality. But while the term itself may be a jolt to the newcomer, the idea is that it embodies our compelling and attractive and represent the culmination of a long development of thought. If I had to boil it down to a handful of insights, they would be these. One, each human being, to use John Locke's formation, quote, has a property of his own person, end quote. Two, there ought to be a single moral code binding all people, whether they are employed by the state or not. And three, Society can run itself without central direction. Now, please don't zone out. I know this is where anarcho-capitalism, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to zone out and watch Beyonce videos like a brain-dead American. Don't. From the original property one enjoys in his own person, we can derive individual rights, including property rights. When taken to its Prothero-Rothbarian conclusion, this insight actually invalidates the state, since the state functions, that is our leaders, and survives on the basis of systemic violation of individual rights. Were it not to do so, it would cease to be the state. In violating individual rights, the state tries to claim exemption from moral laws that we take for granted in all areas of life. Why is authority getting away with things like abusing the Ferguson protesters? Why is that happening? Why? What would it be called if it would be called theft if carried out in private, individual taxation for the state? What would be called kidnapping is the military draft of the state. What we would call mass murder for anyone else is war for the state. In each case, the state gets away with moral enormities because the public has been conditioned to believe that the state authority is a law unto itself and can't be held to the same moral standards that we apply to ourselves. But it's the third of these ideas, it says, that I would like to develop at greater length. In those passages, if there are moral treaties dealing with economics, the late scholastics, particularly in the 16th and 17th centuries, had been groping toward an idea of laws that govern the social order. In other words, making the state adhere to the same laws that we adhere to. Is there a time for war? Of course there is a time for war. And that time comes when it is voted on within the laws of the Constitution, not at the whim of the president. And you can apply that to a number of different things. And I wanted to point this out so that you will look up the article in total and see that this isn't only the heart of libertarianism, it is actually the heart of freedom. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. We have 4 more stories to get to, so do not zone out at me. I just wanted to remind you that the Arcadia Grill is located in downtown Canton. And some of the best food that you've ever eaten will be food that you eat there. So make sure if you're anywhere near Ohio at all, make the drive to Canton, Ohio, and go to the Arcadia Grill. Let Maria know, hey, what's up? You heard about her from The Correct Views. Order the ravioli and enjoy. Friends, listen to this real quick. It's brought to you by Mike McLaughlin. If you don't know who Mike McLaughlin is, go to facebook.com and look him up. He is one of the best writers extant today. Livescience.com. I'm going to get the one story on the science front. For those of you that don't know, I do run a segment in the Media Speaks called News from the Science Front. It's on every Saturday. Go to themediaspeaks.com or look them up on Facebook and you'll find when it's posted. Listen to this. Goliath encounter. Puppy-sized spider surprises scientist in a rainforest. We're killing the rainforest. It looks pretty healthy to me. Piotr Neskavecki was taking a nighttime walk in a rainforest in Guyana when he heard rustling as if something were creeping underfoot. When he turned on his flashlight, he expected to see a small mammal such as a possum or a rat. When I turned on the light, I couldn't quite understand what I was seeing, says Neskavecki, an entomologist and photographer at Harvard University's Museum of Comparative Zoology. A moment later, he realized he was looking down at a brown furry mammal. No, he realized he was looking at an enormous puppy-sized spider. This is awesome. There's 2 spiders in the house. There's Christelle's, who is always hungry because she forgets to feed it. And there is mine, which is never hungry because I always remember to feed it, but sometimes forget to water the sponge. Poor spiders. All jokes aside, I love them very much. Known as the South American Goliath bird eater, The colossal arachnid is the world's largest spider, according to Guinness Book of World Records. Its leg span can reach up to a foot, or about the size of a child's forearm. That would be about this long here. And the spider can weigh 6 ounces, as much as a young puppy, the scientist wrote on her blog. Make sure you look it up. It's at Live Science. I'll show you the picture. Some sources say that the giant huntsman spider, which has a larger leg span, is bigger than a bird eater. But the huntsman is much more delicate than a hefty bird eater. Comparing the two would be like comparing a giraffe and an elephant. So basically one of them is bigger but more fragile. Kind of like a muskellunge. How many of you fish? Or a trout? If you ever catch either one, they always die. You can catch a bass or a carp and anything and it lives. You catch a carp, you catch a muskie and it's as good as dead. Some sources say the giant huntsman spider, again, they say it's the larger one. I just went over that. The bird eater's enormous size is evident from the sounds that it makes. Its feet have hardened tips and claws that produce a very distinct clicking sound, and not unlike that of a horse's hooves hitting the ground. So it's like a little horse you hear. But it's not as loud. My brother would. I sent this to my brother's site because he loves spiders. Not prickly hairs and 3/4-inch fangs. When Naskreki approached the imposing creature in the rainforest, it would rub its hind legs against its abdomen. At first, the scientist thought the behavior was cute, he said. But then he realized that the spider was sending out a cloud of hairs and microscopic barbs on them. It shoots at you with barbed hairs. It says when these hairs get into your eyes or other mucous membranes, they are extremely painful and itchy and can stay for days, he said. So your eyes are itching forever when he shoots. So it could bite the hell out of you. It doesn't. It just sends hairs at you that make you wish it had. It said its prickly hairs aren't the bird eater's only line of defense. It also sports a pair of 0.79-inch long fangs, which can sometimes reach up to 1.5 inches. Although these spiders' bite is venomous, it is not deadly to humans. Well, that's interesting. It'll just hurt like hell. It says it would still be extremely painful, like driving a nail through your hand. That is awesome. I love hearing things like that. It said its third defense mechanism is its hairy sleeve. The hairs on the front of the spider's body can have tiny hooks and barbs that make a hissing sound when they rub together. So if you touch it, it's like Velcro being pulled apart, and then those are stuck in you for days as it shoots at you with its hairs and prepares to bite you. It says bird eater are mostly harmless despite its name. The bird eater doesn't usually eat birds, although it is certainly capable of killing small mammals. They are essentially will attack anything they encounter, Naskreki said, so he's lucky it didn't attack him. It says the spider hunts in leaf litter on the ground at night, so the chances of it encountering a bird are very small. That's why it doesn't. However, if it found a nest, it could easily kill the parents, that would be the birds, and the chicks, he said, adding that some spider species have been known to puncture and drink bird eggs. Well, they got to have breakfast. This is an update on this. It says, in response to a flood of questions about what happened to the spider and why it was killed, Naskreki wrote another post to his blog. In it, he explains that the animal was euthanized, preserved, carefully labeled, and deposited in a collection at the University of Guyana, where to this day it serves as an important teaching tool. So there you go. 3 more stories to get to. We're going to end with some global warming facts. Kyle put a house beat behind this. Man-made global warming is a lie. And you should put a house beat behind it too, because I'm running a contest about it. How can you find out about it? Look up last Saturday's Media Speak show. Friends, prisonplanet.com. Obama's climate deal with China will spike U.S. energy prices. Basically, what he did is agreed to curb and stop and tax energy here, while agreeing that China should not have to do the same thing there. Washington Senator Jeff Sessions on Wednesday blasted the Obama administration for cutting a climate change deal with China, which the Alabama senator says gives the United States' biggest economic rival a significant advantage over the next 15 years, while saddling American businesses with more burdensome regulations. Mama's gonna save the planet. First of all, we're not warming the planet. Second of all, if we were, why wouldn't China have to stop warming the planet as well? Friends, this is MLive.com. Great Lakes ice cover developing, the earliest in over 40 years. So I guess, according to a meme I saw, Obama's plan is working. Look, already we've got ice, and he just signed it. This is by Mark Torgrosa. Ice is already starting to develop on Michigan's Great Lakes. This is the earliest ice on some of the Great Lakes in the last 40 years. Well, good. Maybe it'll go down to Sandusky and prevent Cedar Point from ruining the mantis. According to the Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory on November 20th of 2014, 3 of Michigan's Great Lakes had ice starting to form. Lake Superior and Lake Michigan were 1.5% of the ice covered, where Lake Huron had 1% ice. Lake Erie is not reporting any ice. Unfortunately, that means they're going to make the Rougarou. Why am I reporting on, well, man's warming the planet and the seas are rising and we're all going to boil? We're freezing at records that we've never seen before. Decent early season ice coverage records back to 1973. Last Friday was the earliest date for all 3 Great Lakes. They already had ice since the better reporting of early season ice began. Lake Superior actually had ice forming on November 15th of this year. That is the earliest ice Lake Superior has ever seen. Man-made global warming isn't happening. Yet another proof. And that brings us to the Dumdee of the day. And we do have the Dumdee of the day. Going to stick with the climate here. Climate activists claim that the deep freeze is due to global warming. Activists previously claimed that climate change was going to make the world hotter. No, it's actually going to make it cooler. It's not happening. There's been no warming in the last 15 to 17 years, depending on what study you read. And that is why these people get the Dumdee of the day. Despite spending years claiming that climate change would make the world hotter, not colder, climate activists are now blaming global warming for the Arctic front pounding the U.S. As 44 states brace for snow in the coming week, multiple climate change articles have been published recently which attempt to attribute the record cold or any change in climate, to that matter, to global warming. An op-ed published last night, for example, suggested that the freezing temperatures throughout the U.S. are a, quote, indirect result of the world getting warmer. Keep in mind, we haven't warmed up as a planet, no matter where you live, in 15 to 17 years. Global warming could be making parts of the world colder, the author claimed, even though the phrase global warming refers to the entire world getting warmer, not just specific parts of it. The author even attributed record level ice in Antarctica to global warming. Sorry, I can't even say it properly anymore. Warming temperatures are not caused more snowfall in Antarctica, scientists believe, but could also produce more sea ice, he stated. The op-ed did not resonate well with readers. These so-called experts haven't a clue what's going on, but politicians know exactly what is happening. The greatest opportunity to control the masses, that would be you and I, ever presented, one reader, Steve No Sympathy, commented. Never before has such an opportunity presented where the government can steal huge amounts from the public by instilling fear. A similar article published by the Energy Collective, who gets today's Dumdee of the day, blamed global warming for current extreme weather. Global warming is worsening, the article harked. It seems that the new reports appear with increasing frequency, emphasizing the worsening of global warming due to increased accumulation of man-made greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. They show that extreme weather or climate events already appear to be more severe and or frequent than in the past and will continue to worsen. Of course, none of this corresponds with what the largest proponent of global warming ever, Vice President Al Gore, said in the past. Here's what Al Gore said. Science is warming us, and they're warning us that if you do not quickly reduce the global warming pollution that is trapping so much of our heat to the planet, normally radiates back to the atmosphere, then we are in danger of creating a permanent carbon summer, Gore proclaimed during his Nobel lecture in 2007. Of course, not only have his predictions not come true, but I've taken up snowboarding, I do believe, since he said that. And while I still suck at it, we are not in a permanent summer. He also famously predicted that the North Pole would be free of ice by 2013, but instead, and there's the link to prove this, ice sheets expanded to record levels in 2013. Going on, satellite photos of the Arctic taken by NASA in August of 2012 and August of 2013 show 60%, that's over half for you Usher fans, a 60% increase in the polar ice sheet, more than half the size of Europe, despite realistic predictions by climate scientists 6 years ago that the North Pole would be completely melted by now, reported CNS News. I do believe we still have a frigid North Pole. It did not melt. There's record ice. It's hilarious, it says, that climate activists claim that the science is settled and that global warming is real. Yet over and over again, their predictions have been proven patently false. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. That's the Dumdee of the day, and that is Sam I.B. Gangi signing off. Look up the work of Kyle Court, D. Lake, and myself. You can find our work at The Correct Views. Well, I'm at The Correct Views on YouTube. They are at themediaspeaks.com. Please donate to the show if you can. Every penny you give me goes towards a better show. How? Go to thecorrectviews@hotmail.com, and I will give you all of the contact info needed. Thank you, friends. Good night. God bless, and share this video.